everyone, and welcome to you. I hope you're having a great morning. I'm Roz Lewis, President and CEO of the Greater Women's Business Council. And we're so happy you can join us this morning for our season 2 of Mornings with GWBC. So we hope you have your favorite cup of coffee, your tea, or that energizing smoothie, whichever one works for you. And we want you to sit back and relax for the next 30 minutes as we bring you great information from our special guests, our top 10 countdown, and of course, that wonderful raffle at the end where we give away a Macy's gift card. So we always ask you to please follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, because we love to hear from you and understand how you are doing. So we want to thank the Southern Company for being our premier sponsor today. And now without further delay, let's introduce our special guest. She is Vickie Irwin-Avery. She's the General Manager, Supplier Sustainability and Equity for Southern Company, which promoting an inclusive supply chain to spread wealth in all communities. And I think that's so important. And Vickie collaborates with corporate leaders, business unit purchasing influencers, diverse business advocacy organizations such as GWBC, and entrepreneurs to build relationships that support the development and growth of small and diverse businesses. And in her role at Southern Company, Vickie leads comprehensive strategies and programs that improve and build on the positive impact of partnerships with diverse suppliers. She serves as an advisor on emerging and existing workforce and economic development issues and opportunities. She also advances relationships with civic and local business leaders in the communities where we do business through previous corporate leadership roles, including CFO, Director of Franchising, Senior Vice President of Strategic Planning, Supplier Diversity, and Supply Chain Manager. Vickie has assisted small and diverse business owners to create successful joint ventures and supplier partnerships across multiple industries. She shares her experience as a certified public accountant and project management professional with small and diverse business owners to help them build sustainable partnerships with corporations. And as a small business owner, as small and diverse business owners increase revenues and profitability, all communities can benefit through job growth, economic development, and creation of general wealth. So she understands that whole supply chain. And then Vickie is chair of the board of directors of the Georgia Minority Supplier Development Council, GMSDC, and co-chair of the NMSDC Utility Industry Group. Other memberships include Georgia Society of CPAs, American Association of Blacks in Energy, and Project Management Institute Atlanta chapter. She holds a BBA degree in accounting from Oglethorpe University and a certified public accountant and project management professional. And in 2020, Vickie was included in the top 100 influential women by the Atlanta Business League. Congratulations, lady. And the recipient of the 2017 MogulCon Award for her support of women-owned businesses. She enjoys traveling to Florida to visit her 2 daughters, son-in-law, and granddaughter. So we know who is there, the granddaughter. And Vickie released her, this is what I'm very excited about. She released her new business and professional leadership book, The Next Normal, 13 Essential Vitamins for Future Thinking, in September of 2020. So during this whole pandemic, think about how she approached that challenge. So welcome, Vickie. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you, Roz, and thank you to the entire GWBC team. And most importantly, big shout outs to all our women business owners who have helped our corporations hold everything together during this pandemic. And I'm so excited to be with you this morning.
Well, thank you. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Let's talk about it. You know, understanding you wrote a book during the pandemic, but kind of share with us, because we always want to get our insights on the human side of what's happening, right? As it relates to, you know, your team with Southern Company. How are you all managing? How are things going with you all, especially to move to the next normal?
Yes, definitely. You know, we've all had this challenge during the COVID pandemic, but I'm proud to share that at Southern Company and at Georgia Power, Alabama Power, Mississippi Power, Southern Company Gas, we've all been working together in collaboration to make sure that we're continuing to support the development of our women business owners, our diverse business owners, our small business owners, and making sure that we're keeping those opportunities in front of all of our diverse and small businesses. So we are now, we've reorganized the structure of supplier diversity at Southern Company. It's now called Supplier Sustainability and Inclusive Growth. And that was in response to Tom Fanning's directive that we reimagine our company, everything that we do. And we're talking now about moving to racial equity. So a lot of framework was structured not only just for supplier diversity, but also for all the different areas across our enterprise. And we'll maybe talk about that a little bit more, but from a COVID pandemic perspective, our team has held together very well. We are still supporting, we've still been in the virtual environment with you all, and so excited to see you. So we have been holding it together. And from a personal perspective, I'll just share with you all, I'm ready to see everybody, and hopefully we'll do that soon. Sherelle and I were talking earlier about, we think we're just ready to see somebody outside of Zoom.
Exactly. I agree with you. I can't agree with you more. You know, the song that goes through my head always, reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this a better world if you can. I'm like, so now is that physical touch, that we are missing, because yes, we have the opportunity, thank goodness, through technology to be able to use a platform, like Zoom. And I'm glad to hear also that Georgia Power, amongst some of the other corporate members as well, especially here in our region, we're addressing one of those perfect storms that took place last year, which was the social injustice storm, and looking at and how that plays a role. Even supplier diversity plays a key role in that as well. So thanks for letting us know that. So given that, understanding your team is doing well, what advice would you give women, our women businesses, about Southern Company's supply chain? Is there anything new going on there?
Well, in 2019, we reorganized and centralized supply chain to what we call one SCM. Before, we had supply chain stood up in each of our operating companies. There was a supply chain at Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and in Illinois, different areas. But now we've centralized. And yes, more centralized supply chain. So a good thing about that for our women business owners is, typically when we are looking at a procurement opportunity, it may span across several states and several footprints. So it gives you an opportunity to have a greater expansion of exposure to work with all of our various operating companies. So that's one of the nuances that I will share with you. And we have category managers, and of course, our supplier diversity team, our consultants, our managers are all working hand in hand with the procurement side. But most importantly, we're still very much connected to our business units, because as you know, in any supply chain organization, the business units actually have the budgets and the dollars, and they are the ones that are creating the projects and the work. So the supply diversity team is still your advocate and your liaison and connector to make sure you get those engagements you need, not only with supply chain and our business units, but guess what? We have great engagements with large prime contractors as well.
Wow. So can you give some of the sample, because you kind of answered, that next question for me, of more perspective on any data points but also, the fact of you all centralizing now, instead of being decentralized across your footprint, of making that supply chain stronger. Are there any other key data points you want to share?
Absolutely. And this is the initiative that I've talked about earlier. If you go to southerncompany.com, which is our website, and it's southerncompany.com, I'd like for each of you to take a look at our campaign around Be the Change. And it's all linked to our new reimagined organization around our moving to racial equity. After the events that happened with social unrest in this past summer, our Chief Executive Officer, Tom Fanning, took a look at how Southern Company could be a leader to ensure that we eliminate disparities and some of the systemic racism that we've seen. So we all got together, and it started out with conversations among our team members. And there were areas across the enterprise that we looked at, Roz. We looked at not only supplier diversity and our diverse suppliers, but we're looking at our workforce and our own. We're looking at social justice in our communities, how corporations need to be a part of that. We're looking at the political side of it. We're looking at our own talent and workforce development. So out of this framework came areas that we decided the company would focus on to make sure that we're doing our part to move to racial equity. So I'll share with you what's going on in the diverse supplier side. First of all, our overarching goal is we want to see total spend with MBEs to reach 20%, but total diverse spend to reach 30%, which that includes minority businesses, woman-owned businesses, and veterans. So those are our three focus areas that we're looking at: women, minorities, and veterans. And so there is a huge push across the enterprise, across every operating company, to be more inclusive of these diverse businesses. So with that, in our supply chain, there are 4 key areas that we're focusing on to measure our performance. We're looking, first of all, at how do we increase spend with women, vets, and minorities. We're looking at measuring and keeping track of our inclusion rate, making sure that when we have opportunities, we're bringing those women business owners, the veterans, and the minority businesses to the table, and giving them the opportunity to participate in that procurement. Also, along with that, we're looking at how we have our business processes internally. So where do we have areas inside our procurement processes that may pose a barrier for women, veterans, and minority business owners? Because as you know, many times a contract may be set up and it may have some barriers as far as insurance requirements, bonding requirements, and some other experiences. So we're taking a deeper dive and look at how we may be able to eliminate some of those barriers for our women and veterans and minorities. Also, we've always had mentoring and development, but now that mentoring and development has been escalated with this new reimagined vision, and we're being a little bit more intentional about it. Some areas we're looking at, Roz, that are new is we are really doing a deep dive on making sure we find ways to find access to capital for our minority and veterans, which we know has been a hurdle. All data indicates that we see nationwide that access to capital has been a huge hurdle for our diverse businesses. So we're actually working with organizations for access to capital. Another area we're looking at is that we are holding our large prime contractors, and we're asking them to mirror the same diversity, equity, and inclusion values that Southern Company holds. So what does that mean? Our contracts have clauses in them that say, if we award a contract to a non-diverse or other than small business of $750,000 or more, we're asking them to subcontract out 20% of that awarded value to those diverse classifications that we are focusing on: women, minorities, and veterans. We're helping them by making sure that we have a pool of qualified businesses that we can share with them. And we're creating those spaces where there can be engagement between those diverse businesses and our prime contractors. But other than that, we are asking them, not only from a diverse supplier perspective, but in order to move some of the systemic racism and disparities that we've seen, we are asking them to look at their own workforce, making sure they're servicing us with diverse teams, so that when you come on our properties and you're doing work with us, we want you to represent the communities that we serve, because Southern Company is putting forth huge effort around that, making sure that we look like the communities that we serve. So with that have been some workforce development initiatives that I'm working on, as well as economic inclusion initiatives, like we are standing HBCU internship programs. I'm working with a middle school to introduce students to the technical trades that would not only provide a pipeline, a diverse workforce pipeline for Southern Company, but when I think about our women-owned businesses, these providing a talent pipeline for them as well. So we're also investing in opportunities we're finding for women, veterans, and minorities to help you shore up your business, especially around cybersecurity, infrastructure, and technology. So there are a lot of new areas that we're addressing under the new Supplier Sustainability and Equity area that I'm leading. And we are really, really focusing on workforce development, mentoring and development, an inclusive pipeline, and doing even more to get our women and minority and veteran-owned businesses to the table.
Wow, I tell you. So one, I love the fact of the forensic efforts that you all are doing, to look at underneath that layer, again, to see what bottlenecks are taking place that may be a barrier to our diverse suppliers. I love the fact of the expansion into the communities, of educating and building that pipeline, for the communities as well. And the other part, which a lot of companies haven't focused on when they talk about diversity and inclusion, you have IQ for intelligence, you have EQ for emotional, but then there's a CQ, and that CQ is cultural intelligence, understanding different cultures, different nuances, being able to share that information. And that has to be, you're absolutely right, embedded in the workforce of those who are making those decisions, because that also could be a barrier to our diverse suppliers. And also love that throughout the supply chain, you're weaving this particular information so that those suppliers also mirror their customer base, such as what Southern Company is doing. And that's important too, and the customers you serve. So we got a few minutes, but before we leave, one of the things I really need you to talk about is this book. This book that, in reading, it's like so timely, so on point, and every WBE, every diverse supplier should have it. And so I would just love for you to talk a little bit about your book and just give a couple of teaser highlights so that they'll know why they should go purchase it. Well, not something that was planned. I'm going to tell you that, audience, but I just believe in that. I reference books anyway, and why not reference one of our top speakers? So please, Vickie, tell us.
So over the past couple of years, even before the pandemic started, I had began to take a deeper look into myself and see where I could use my talents for growth to help our diverse community. I'm very passionate about the diversity efforts and entrepreneurs. As I said, that's the one. Entrepreneurism is a major way to decrease some of these wealth, housing, and job gaps. And so I had several writings that I had been doing, and I had been putting them out as a type of blog. They were called Vickie's Vitamins. Well, my youngest daughter said, why don't you combine and take your top ones and create a book? And so there are 13 essential vitamins known to man. And so those 13 essential vitamins, they're either to build your natural cells or to sustain you. So there are topics in the book that talks about how to build your business for resiliency and for growth, but also for your personal development. And each of the topics has 3 areas. There's what I call the real, when I talk about the topic. There's the relevant, which is Vickie Vitamins. And then I share with you a personal story of how I've used that particular topic, either well or not so well. Maybe I've been successful, or maybe I've been a failure at it. But each of those 13 topics, I give you a personal story of how it has applied to my life. And examples of one of the topics that several of the businesses have asked me to expand upon, one of them is called Trustonomics. We always hear about relationships and trust being a key area, but I call it Trustonomics in the book. And it's the keys and a background about what I think about trust and why you need it in personal development and in business. But also there's the part we talk about relationships, and everybody says, relationships are important. Relationships are important. And I totally agree with that. But what I do is I call them real relationships, because there's a difference between a relationship and a real relationship. So we explore what those differences are. We tell you in the book about different areas, how you can apply them to your business. We talk to you about how you can apply them to your personal development. So they are 13 relevant topics, and each topic also has a piece that centers around what's going on in our world today. So Roz, thank you so much for allowing me that opportunity to speak a little bit about the book.
Well, you're quite welcome, because anything that is relevant, that is going to be able to help our women businesses, you never know the impact that you're going to make on someone's life, and that's their life business, their personal life. And so it's always good to share information, and let them then be the ownership of receiving it. And so that is what I just think is just great. So what's your favorite quote? What is your favorite quote?
Well, I have several favorite quotes, but over the past year and a half, I've kind of gone back to my roots. And I always share with people when they say, tell us something about you from a personal perspective. I am a descendant of preachers and teachers. I'll share that straight out. People in my family were either in the ministry or they were in the education, all except for me. I kind of broke the mold there. But I've been going back to one of the quotes that my mother has always shared with me from the Bible since a child, that to whom much is given, much is required. And when she talked to me about that when I was younger, my mother has passed for several years now. But now in the light of what I'm seeing now, I understand now. And what I talk about when I say that to whom much is given, much is required, I'm speaking about service. I'm thinking about being a servant. And I also think about being a great steward of those talents and gifts and possessions that have been afforded to us, and making sure we use them for the greater good of our community. So that one has been sticking with me over the past several months and helping me to keep my life in balance, and helping me to make sure that what I'm doing in the community and for our diverse businesses aligns with my personal values as well as our corporate values.
Exactly. I tell you, I love that. It's so funny. Too, this weekend, there was just something going on, and believe it or not, that quote came up for me, and to remember that and saying, okay, how do I use my talents, for this particular situation, that was going on. So I agree with you 100%. Thank you so much for sharing that quote. And Vickie, thank you so much for being a part of our Mornings with GWBC. Anytime, you've been a guest speaker for us on our Power of Partnering Marketplace. Every time I learn something new, every time you constantly, are just there to share all what's happening they definitely have the right person in the position at Southern Company. So senior management, are you listening? It's just important, to know that we have people like you, women like you, strong, smart women like you in these positions to continue to pave the way for, especially in the arena of our diverse suppliers, but also is tapping into a workforce as well and community. So thank you so much for being a part of our show this morning.
Thank you. And thank you to all the weebies out there. And you sent me something in the chat, I'll get it and answer it.
All right, perfect. So thank you so much. Let's please give Vickie a round of virtual applause. All right, so up next is our top 10 countdown of resources just for you. So hopefully your coffee is still warm and your smoothie is still cool, and we'll be right back in just a moment. All right, and now for our top 10 countdown. And we're gonna take a different perspective on top 10. If you go back and look at all of our videos from our previous mornings with GWBC, there's a lot of information that is there to help you with your business. And that's great on the business side. But as women and business owners, we also gotta take care of us. We've got to also make sure that we're healthy as leaders. And so in order to do that, sometimes it requires us to separate ourselves from our business, figure out what that time is. I always say, make an appointment with yourself and keep it, and keep that appointment. So let's talk about the top 10. Number 10, have the ultimate barbecue. It's a great time to invite friends, colleagues, and family over, but still using safety protocols, because you never know who all at this point has been vaccinated or made the decision to do that, and it's not. The goal is to have fun. So we encourage you to do that over the weekend on a Saturday or Sunday, or it's the summertime. If you decide to take a half a day on Friday and invite friends over, I think they would love sharing a meal with you, fun and laughter. And number 9, go to the farmer's market, because there you're going to find healthy farmer items, healthy vegetables and fruits and vegetables. And we all need that energy as well. The one that I visit very frequently, it happens to be here in Atlanta, and it is huge. It's the DeKalb Farmers Market. And you can pretty much find anything that you want, not just farm products that are grown here in the US, but also globally. Number 8, go somewhere you've never been. So accomplish this bucket list goal, because it doesn't mean that you have to travel to an ultimate location. So even though you had Hawaii maybe on the trip and couldn't go there, there's so many places, I'm pretty sure, within even 100-mile radius that you haven't been, and visit. And it'll be amazing what you'll discover. Number 7, do a random act of kindness. Donate food, volunteer for your favorite charity, such as an animal shelter, just someone on the street, even that you meet, say something. Of course, your discernment would always be there, especially if it's a stranger, but please, those are the things that we encourage you to do, because the gift is theirs, but the gift is also yours. Number 6, you'll love this one, go wine tasting. And believe it or not, there's some amazing women-owned wineries that are available to you. The McBride Sisters, Bev Ladies Night, Aveline Red Wine, Jameson Ranch Vineyards, and Cape Red Cellars. So keep those in mind, and those are great to try if you haven't already. Of course, you can also have those at that barbecue you're gonna have on the weekend, that Saturday or Sunday, to share with friends. Number 5, this one is gonna be a challenge, but we're gonna do it and try it. Go 24 hours without internet, radio, or television. And I'm gonna add one. You're thinking you go without your cell phone. You can put it on emergency, right? For those you need to hear from, but think about that and not read your email. All right, number 4, read a good book. And Vickie's suggested summer read is Building Atlanta, How I Broke Through Segregation to Launch a Business Empire by Herman J. Russell. And one of the things Vickie didn't mention was that she had an opportunity to work with Mr. Russell, and he was one of the first billionaires, minority African-American billionaires in this country. So definitely it's a good read. Number 3, volunteer. And in addition to the list, also keep GWBC in mind, because we do have opportunities on our committees, but we encourage you to volunteer. Again, either with your favorite charity or organization. I'm pretty sure they would love your contributions, your insights, your ability to help them grow as well and help them with their mission. And number 2, for those of you who have not participated on GWBC Radio, this is a perfect opportunity to do that now. It is for our certified women businesses in our region of Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And so you can go online and sign up. The link is in our newsletter that you're receiving, and we encourage you to do it. It's 20 minutes of you talking about your business. Tell me where you can market that better. They're averaging about 9,000 downloads each. So I would encourage you to do it. And number 1, so for WeBank certified WBEs as well, or not, there's also on each Tuesdays in June, join WeBank National Virtual Conference, Focus on the Future. So it's a dynamic and collaborative series bringing together the WeBank network as we honor America's top corporations for women businesses and our WBE stars. And so join us in congratulating our star, who is Tammy Cohen of Infomart. And so please, I encourage you to sign up. You can register for this. There is a charge, but register for it. This is in lieu of them hosting the normal in-person national conference that they will host. And keep in mind, in 2022, the conference will be held here in Atlanta, Georgia. So this will be the first in-person conference held since the pandemic. So since 2019. So we hope you're able to incorporate at least 3 of those suggestions. The top ones for me would be barbecue, wine, and I'm going to challenge myself on the internet, TV, try and do that, and the phone. So we're going to see how that works out for us. So we're pretty much at the end of our show, but we always want to close with offering something special to you. So we have one lucky winner who will win a gift card from Macy's. So get ready as I call your name, and please respond in the Q&A. So the winner is Henley Tulos. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. US Anatizer Incorporated. Congratulations, Henley. Congratulations to you on winning the Macy's gift card. So thank you. And Vickie was the one who selected that number, so you're the lucky winner. So again, Henley, if you're there, please go ahead and respond in the chat for us. Well, we hope you enjoyed our time with us. This quick 30 minutes of giving you great information, especially about what's happening at the Southern Company. I think it was a wealth of information for you now to be able to kind of add them to your list. Remember, the website that she asked you to go to, that Vickie asked you to go to as well. And so I also want to let you know for upcoming events, Mornings with GWBC is going to be taking a summer break during the month of July, and we're going to return in August with our corporate guest, the Hartsfield-Jackson. With the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. And on August 23rd, our corporate guest will be at Accenture. So please register now as you want to learn more about the opportunities with the airport as well as Accenture. And don't forget our quarterly Power of Partnering Marketplace event that is coming up on June 30th. And that is from 8:15 a.m. to 12 noon. And so this event will have key business information during our general session. And our keynote speakers are going to be from the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, and Equifax. And we're going to talk about cybersecurity. And you know what all is happening with cybersecurity in today's environment. So it's something that, again, is going to be very important that suppliers also have protocols regarding that, because that is key for those, especially large corporations that could be large targets as well. And more importantly, you want to protect your data. So keep in mind, we bring you this information and more during our weekly newsletter that is distributed on Wednesdays. And then we have an abbreviated upcoming event e-blast that we send out on Fridays. So please remember to link in with us, respond to us on Twitter and Facebook, because again, we want to know how you're doing and what's going on with you. So until next time, I'm going to say have a wonderful and successful week. More importantly, stay healthy, stay safe, and please be strong, women, be strong. Goodbye.